Sunday past, West Ham unusually did not have a game. I've got used to this routine of Thursday, Sunday football, but as we played on Wednesday last week against Liverpool, we were playing on Monday this week against Bournemouth, we did not have a game on Sunday, so I took advantage of that. Popped down to the pub with a few friends to watch the Southampton Arsenal game, followed by the Tottenham Newcastle one. And as the full-time whistle went at the St Mary's, it cut to an ad break, and upon its return, it promoted the West Ham Bournemouth game as it's live on Sky, and it went something along the lines of join us tomorrow night live from the London Stadium where West Ham is start the game in the bottom four take on Bournemouth. And whilst I got a little hey, your side's in trouble, you're in the bottom four, you might get relegated, and I dismissed it. We're playing Bournemouth tomorrow night, we've got a game in hand now, we'll get 3 points, don't worry about it. But there was an element of me that went, hang on a minute, we're where? We've done all right. We picked up 7 points in 9. I thought we'd climb that table and we were looking pretty secure. And I mean, we probably were after the Southampton game. I've stopped looking at the league table for a couple of games. I was feeling a little bit more relaxed. But when that got read out, it did sort of give me a bit of a reality check and say, hang on a minute, West Ham went on to win. We're now 12 games into the season. We're now nearly a third of the way through the season. And you can look at our league in two different ways right now. On one hand, we're 10th. That sounds good, doesn't it? Happy days. We're 10th. 12 games in, we're 10th in the league. We're moving up. Sorted, I'll take that. On the other hand, how far are we away from 20th place in the league? 5 points. That doesn't sound so good, does it? 2-3 bad weeks and you're in the bottom three again. That does not sound too great. The Premier League is tight right now. A wise man, Sir Alex Ferguson, once said, don't pay any attention to the league table until you're 10 games in. At that point, you'll get a reflection of how that team's doing, the ability of that team, what you could potentially be looking to achieve that season. Now, there's always a few teams that don't fit that narrative, like Liverpool, for example, right now. You look at the league table, and so far, that is reflective of how they've been. You look at it, yeah, they've been that poor for them. But will they finish outside the top 6-7? Probably not. They're probably going to carry on going. But as for the rest of us, I think generally, as a rule of thumb, wait till 10 games in. I think it's a fair thing to say. But as West Ham, we're 12 games in. However, it got me thinking. On Monday, I started looking at the league table ahead of our game against Bournemouth. Started to get a little bit nervous because I thought, oh, we don't win tonight. It's not going to be good, is it? And it got me thinking. Are we in a 13-team relegation battle? Obviously, I'm getting rid of the Sky Sports 6 plus Newcastle. I'm going to show you the league table in a second, but Newcastle, I think, are joining that category. They're performing really well. Eddie Howe's doing a marvellous job. The recruitment is bang on. Every transfer has done its job. You know, the Chris Wood one, has he contributed much? Not really, but I think that transfer was to kick Burnley into trouble. It done its job, right? But the players they brought in with more of a vision to get them in the first team, it's worked. They are playing some really good stuff. So I'm taking them out of it. But it leaves 13 teams. And when you look at the league table, as we'll do in just a minute, it is incredibly tight. Now, the relegation battle is a phrase that I tend to not like using up until, I don't know, well over halfway through the season, because it suggests business end of the season. It suggests this is it. You've got 6 teams. 3 of them are getting relegated. The battle is on. So I don't think we're at the relegation battle point just yet. But to summarise and for the sake of the video, that's what I'm going to call it. Are we currently looking at a 13-team relegation battle? Now, as the season goes, that will reduce. Those numbers will lessen. Come February, there might be 10 teams. You might be able to put a line through 3 and say they'll be safe, they'll be safe, they'll be safe. Not because of opinion, but because of points tally, fact. Stuff that's happening that's there, rather than just you thinking, they're too good to go down, that manager will do okay there, because we can do that for out of the 13. We can probably do that between us right now for 6 or 7 teams in the league. Now I must clarify, I don't think West Ham will get relegated. That's not what I'm saying here. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I think we'll be fine. I don't think we'll get relegated. However, actually, I'm going to give you the 3 teams I think will go down. I'm going to make my prediction now, because as Sir Alex said, after 10 games you can start to draw your own conclusions. You've seen enough now. You've seen enough evidence as to what you think could occur later on in the season, and we'll be doing just that. But before we take a look at the league table, this video is sponsored by HelloFresh. Hopefully you caught my video earlier on today. It was a bit of a grumpy Geo one, not about West Ham, about the Premier League and the way they treat the fans. And in there I cooked up a meal from HelloFresh, so you can go check that out if you wish. But If you fancy getting involved on HelloFresh, you can head over there and you can pick up convenient meals that are easy to make in under 20 minutes. You go to their website, you order what you want, it gets delivered to your door, and then you get your recipe, you get your ingredients which they've sent you, you cook it all up in under 20 minutes, bish bash bosh, you've got a lovely meal there to enjoy. And if you use our link and code, you'll get 50% off your first box, 35% off your next 3 boxes, as well as 3 free gifts. The link to do that is in the description of this video, as well as the pinned comments. So if you fancy giving it a go, please do head on over there and have a look. And thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video. Now, right then, let's take a look at that league table. Here we go. So, this is why I think we're looking at a 13-team relegation battle. Like I said, let's get rid of Newcastle, Chelsea, Man United and Liverpool. So from Fulham down, minus Liverpool, you can see how tight that is. Fulham have had an excellent start to the season, but yet they are only, and I use only loosely because they'll be delighted with their start, they're only 9 points ahead of bottom place. Now usually there'd be one team maybe cut adrift at this point or looking bang in trouble. We don't have that team yet. In fact, that's what worried me, if anything, because a few weeks ago we were looking at Nottingham Forest, we were looking at Leicester, Aston Villa, Southampton. You're looking at those teams going, they are bad. They do not look good at all. There's probably some teams looking at West Ham as well, thinking the same thing. I'm currently doing that with a couple of other teams. One I have not mentioned yet, and I'll get onto that with my old prediction thing. But the other thing is, what I will point out, some more positive things, is when you take a look at that league table on the right hand side, you can see the form of West Ham there, 1-3, drawn 1 and lost 1 of their last 5. So form wise, we're not doing too bad in the Premier League. Only Chelsea and Newcastle have greater form. We've got the same form as Man United as we play them on Sunday. We're better than Liverpool presently, as they've lost 2 of their last 5. But you can see there a couple of teams, Leeds United and Brighton, no win in 5 for either of those sides. So form wise, we're looking okay. It's just incredibly tight, this Premier League. It's a season it's new to me, this Premier League season. I can't really remember one being this close at this point. And between now and the World Cup, and this is my next point, this is getting into sort of crunch time a little bit. But regardless of what happens between now and then, not just for West Ham, the other team in the Premier League, I don't think the league table is going to look too much different during the World Cup break. We will probably revisit the league table and revisit this video to some extent during that break itself. But there's 3 games for West Ham, and they're big games, and other teams will be saying the same thing as well. Leading into that break, there'll be a couple of clubs probably wondering if they've got a decision to make on their manager, Leeds United especially. A little bit of pressure growing on Jesse Marsch. You know, Phil Hayes reported that Leeds are happy with him and they're going to stick by him. But his record is now worse than what Bielsa's was when Bielsa got sacked. So there's a little bit of pressure on Leeds there. However, for West Ham, Man United away, Crystal Palace at home, Leicester at home. We need points plural in these 3 games. Now, not individually. We're not going to get anything at Old Trafford. I'd be surprised. Hopefully we can get a point. That would be good, providing we follow it up with good results against Crystal Palace and Leicester. A point against Man United, then defeats against those two is worthless to some extent. A realistic target, I think 4 is being realistic, but that's low end. I think that is minimum. 4 minimum out of those 3 games. I think as a target 6, losing at Man United and then beating Crystal Palace and Leicester would probably put us in a comfortable position going into that world break. But at this present time, when I look at the league table, and like I said, it is just incredibly close, and it's uncomfortable reading for a lot of fans of a lot of different clubs. And we've seen clubs already pulling the trigger. You know, recently we've had Steven Gerrard sacked. We saw Bruno Lage sacked after getting beat by us. Hasenhüttl's under immense pressure at Southampton. Rodgers looks like he's turned it around at Leicester, although I do think they were performing better than their results at the start of the season, hence why he stayed and hence why they're not doing too bad. Steve Cooper's had a vote of confidence. They were playing really bad. They gave him a new contract and they've started performing quite well. Now, in regards to the 3 teams I do think will go down, I'm making this, it's just a prediction, it's a little bit of fun. You can get involved in the comments of this video as well. First up, Bournemouth, no surprise. I said in the preview, when I look at that team, I just don't see a Premier League standard squad there. I just don't see it. You know, every position they're just not quite good enough, really. Individually, there's one or two players. If Bournemouth got relegated, they'd probably secure a move to a Premier League club next summer. But there's not even that many of those either. Squad-wise, I just don't think it's good enough. I really don't. However, with new owners coming in and an injection of cash, we may see them spend in January. But I'm predicting that Bournemouth are one of the teams to go. Next up is Southampton. I know they've performed a little bit better in recent weeks, getting a win against Bournemouth, a draw against ourselves and Arsenal. I'm still not convinced. I am still far from convinced that they are going to escape that job. It's just lack of goals. Defenders, really good. Like I said, Salisu, Belkacap, two top centre-backs. You know, Kaleta Kars looks like a decent enough centre-back. We're finally seeing him in the Premier League. We were linked to him for ages, but we're now witnessing play for Southampton. You know, full-backs, they were quite strong there. Walker-Peters is out for quite a while, which is a bit of a blow. I just don't think they've quite got enough, and I think they're going to go through the trapdoor. And I'm following up with Wolves. The Wolves were my sort of dark horses to get relegated. When I did my sort of predictions for the season, I had Wolves finishing 17th, fourth from bottom. And I felt that, obviously I'm recorded at the start of the season, so there's still some part of the transfer window to go. But it was a case of, well, they're going to need to sign a striker. They're going to need to sign a striker, and they did. But he then got injured and out for pretty much the season in his debut, 20 minutes into his first game, so that's him out. Now, Diego Costa's come in, and his underlying statistics are looking okay, but at the minute, I mean, could you really see Costa scoring loads of goals? It's going to keep them up? I can't. So, predicting, that's my 3 teams to go down. Get involved in comments. But the point of the video was more to just throw it out there. I think this is a really unique season, and not for a good reason, in the sense that at the minute it looks like a 13-team relegation battle. It is incredibly tight, and certainly on Monday it made me very nervous. And on Tuesday, when we did the player ratings at the start of the video, we just say, "How you doing?" myself and Gonz, that is, just casually. And when he said to me, "Oh, you're right," I said, "Relieved." That was the feeling I had Monday night, Tuesday morning. I just felt relieved because it felt like a big win. That was only match day 12. 12 games in, it already feels like the pressure is on to pick up points. Now, obviously, the good thing is if you can go on a little bit of a run here and you can start picking up, 7 points out of 3 games here, and then you can go on another little run in the not so distant future, and you can start winning more than you're losing. I think you'll start to cut some of them adrift pretty quickly. But as it stands, between now and the World Cup, as I said, I don't think much is going to change. I think teams will keep nicking points off each other. Anyone that plays Super 6 will know what I'm going to say here. It's getting difficult, isn't it? Because you get your Premier League results, the 6 Premier League games for the weekend. They're getting hard to predict. Now, obviously, Man City win. But apart from that, when it's games like, Everton at home to Crystal Palace we just had at the weekend, Aston Villa at home to Brentford, Leicester away to Wolves. Those games, all 3 of those games, hard to predict. The results, even now, still have a little bit of the shock factor. I've stopped getting surprised by Premier League results. Anyone's capable of taking points off of anybody. Like I said, I'm starting to see it as a top 7 in the Premier League for this season. Last season and the season before, I think other fans may have seen it as a top 7, with West Ham being the 7th team, thinking that's a hard place to go. That's a team that visits your ground and makes it difficult. They're the next best team kind of thing. And you've got that with Newcastle this season. They are the next best. Currently sitting 4th in the Premier League. And they're missing 2 of their best players presently. And they're still winning. Still went to Tottenham and won comfortably in the end. Scoreline 2-1, close game. But for those that watched it, it felt comfortable enough for Newcastle. Anyway, they're impressing. And they're taking advantage of not having European football. That's what I will say. The context for Newcastle, they don't have European football. And we've seen clubs take advantage of that in the past. And then when they do add in the Thursday night football, or perhaps the Wednesday, maybe they'll get Champions League stuff, it gets a little bit more difficult. Do you have the squad depth? Can you cope playing the Premier League without that much time on the training pitch? But that's for next season. But this season, they're doing well without it. So, like I said, I'm looking at it as a top 7 now with Newcastle in there. The rest of us, it's getting hard to predict who's going to beat who every single weekend. And that makes it difficult to have faith that this season's going to go smoothly. And it doesn't matter. I'm not necessarily even speaking as a West Ham fan here. Obviously I am. But I would imagine that this would be echoed by fans of pretty much every other club in the 13, including those that you would have thought would be fine wouldn't be in a relegation battle. Obviously, Aston Villa now have appointed Unai Emery. Really good appointment from the outside looking in. That's sort of like +1 to Aston Villa to some extent. Obviously, not guaranteed to work, but you'd expect it to. And the noises coming out of Villa Park is that they're away to open their chequebook again in January and back him. And I know the January transfer window seems a long, long way away. It is. It's 2 months away, but it's also, we've got 3 Premier League games and we've stopped for the World Cup. Then when we come back, we play Arsenal on Boxing Day at 8 o'clock. Might have heard me moaning about that one earlier, but we play that game, and a week later the January transfer window is open. So in terms of time, it's 2 months away. It's a long, long time. In terms of football matches, effectively it's only 3 weeks worth of football away. That makes, because there's 2 more weeks, then we stop, then there's 1 week. Does that make sense? 3 weeks where we have actual games, and then it's January transfer window. It's creeping up, and you do just wonder perhaps West Ham are going to have to dip their toe in the market just to strengthen in a couple of areas. The one good thing I will say is we've still got to see Nathan Agard. We're waiting to see him. A £25 million centre back. Essentially, I hate that phrase, like a new signing, but it really is a new signing, isn't it? So I'm looking forward to seeing him, and hopefully we'll benefit from that later on in the season. But yeah, Sunday I got a little bit of a reality check. Monday I got a little bit nervous. Am I naive thinking that we won't be in a relegation battle? I think we're already kind of in one, but I still don't think we'll go down. That's who I think will go down: Wolves, Bournemouth and Southampton. Anyway, give me your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new around here. We are back tomorrow, match day tomorrow, so we are live at 6:55, looking ahead to West Ham against Silkeborg, as we have all the team news and interacting with the live chat. You know the score. We'll see you tomorrow night. Catch you in a bit.